What makes a good person turn into a monster? In this unsettling journey, we will explore the nuances of human morality, revealing how trauma, social pressures, and everyday decisions shape our character. Prepare to understand that good and evil are not absolute, but a fine line, where even the most altruistic can lose their way. Join us to discover the profound lessons hidden in stories of transformation and redemption. The question of what defines good and evil is one of the oldest and most debated in philosophy, religion, and sociology. In essence, this discussion revolves around values, norms, and social contexts. In most cultures, good is associated with actions that promote the well-being of the individual and the community, such as solidarity, honesty, and compassion. On the other hand, evil is often defined by actions that cause pain, suffering, or injustice, such as betrayal and violence. However, this dichotomy becomes complex when examining the human capacity to move between these two sides. A classic example is the prisoner's dilemma, which demonstrates how individual choice can be influenced by the behavior of others. What is considered good can change depending on the situation. Thus, people who were previously seen as benevolent can, in moments of desperation or pressure, make decisions that take them down a dark path, challenging the very definition of morality. The stories of good people turning into monsters are visible in everyday life and history. One of the most impressive narratives is that of people who, throughout their lives, faced traumas or extreme circumstances that radically changed them. A notable example is of a renowned doctor, known for his generosity and willingness to help those in need. After losing a son in a tragic accident caused by a drunk driver, his grief turned to anger and a desire for revenge. He began to engage in illicit activities, acting as a vigilante, without realizing that he was moving away from his original principles. These stories show us that, in certain situations, even the most altruistic people can be pushed to adopt violent and selfish behaviors, leading to reflection on how context and experience shape human nature. Environment and context play a crucial role in shaping character and the choices we make throughout life. In some situations, toxic environments, such as communities marked by violence, poverty, and discrimination, can create a vicious cycle where survival becomes the priority and morality can be distorted. Studies indicate that living in groups that normalize negative behaviors can drastically influence individual decisions. Imagine a young person growing up in a neighborhood where crime is common. He may eventually see illicit practices as an effective form of social advancement. Thus, what began as an impulse to survive turns into systematic behavior, escalating actions to something that can be considered monstrous, disassociating themselves from their initial actions and their original values. Moments of decision play a fundamental role in the adverse transformations that can lead people to become monsters. These moments can be seen as inflection points, where seemingly small choices can result in drastic consequences. Imagine a person who, on a normal day when feeling wronged in a situation, decides to retaliate in a light way, but who, in reaction to a cycle of disappointments and continuous challenges, evolves into more extreme and harmful behavior. The act of ignoring minor moral transgressions can create a domino effect that culminates in actions that a person may deeply regret. Therefore, it is crucial to recognize the importance of these everyday decisions and how they shape not only our own being, but also the way we are perceived by society. Identifying these moments can be the key to preventing good people from becoming monsters, redirecting their lives in a more positive and constructive way. Psychology plays a crucial role in understanding human morality by exploring the reasons why individuals make ethical or unethical choices. Morality is not an innate characteristic, but rather a complex construct that is influenced by both biology and the social environment. Research shows that moral development occurs at different stages throughout life, being shaped by factors such as education, family values, and personal experiences. Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of moral development, for example, suggests that people progress through different levels of moral understanding, from following rules to considering universal rights. This evolution can be affected by personal crises or drastic changes in the environment, leading individuals to question their beliefs and, in some cases, to deviate from previously followed moral principles. Furthermore, psychological factors such as empathy, guilt, and fear directly influence ethical decisions, and the absence or distortion of these feelings can contribute to monstrous behaviors. Therefore, understanding how psychology shapes morality is essential in analyzing behavioral transformations, especially in situations of extreme pressure that can lead good people to cross the line that separates good from evil. Social pressure is a determining factor in individual choices to act ethically or unethically. This influence can be both direct and indirect, and often manifests itself in group expectations, social norms, and the power dynamics that permeate our relationships. Sociology has already demonstrated that individuals often behave in ways that align with the values of the group to which they belong, even if this means compromising their own moral convictions. Solomon Asch's experiment, which involved conformity, showed that people tend to follow the majority, even when they know that the collective choice is wrong. In a broader context, pressure to conform to social norms can occur in a variety of situations, from workplaces to friendship circles, where individuals may feel compelled to act in ways that disregard their own moral standards. This dynamic is especially dangerous in societies or communities where antisocial behaviors are normalized, creating a vicious cycle that perpetuates negative attitudes and can lead people who, at first glance, seem good, to turn into monsters, acting against their principles in search of acceptance or respect from peers. Trauma has a profound and lasting impact on human behavior, with the ability to shape not only an individual's mental health, but also their moral and social decisions. Studies in psychology have shown that traumatic events, such as loss, abuse, or violent experiences, can affect a person's ability to empathize, generating a distorted view of the world and leading to antisocial behavior. Trauma can result in a fight or flight response, and in some people, this response translates into aggression or destructive behavior. A clear example is those who, after losing significant experiences or facing injustice, find themselves in such a state of despair that they believe the only way to regain control over their lives is to inflict pain on others. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, highlights how it is possible to change these trajectories, but for many, the label of monster can become established from the first act of aggression that results from an untreated trauma. Therefore, recognizing and understanding the effects of trauma is crucial, both to help victims find a path to healing and to prevent those harmed by pain from becoming agents of suffering in their communities. Sociological theories provide a broader view of antisocial behavior, analyzing how social, cultural, and economic factors contribute to the formation of individuals who act violently. Emil Durkheim's theory of anomie suggests that in periods of social disruption, where norms and values are absent or in conflict, people experience a state of confusion that can lead to criminal behavior. Family disintegration, unemployment, and social inequality are examples of factors that can create a favorable environment for individuals, previously considered good, to enter the path of crime and violence. Furthermore, Travis Hershey's social control theory emphasizes the importance of social ties, such as family involvement and community affiliation, suggesting that the absence of these bonds may increase the risk of deviant behavior. By understanding these social dynamics, it is possible to paint a more complete picture of why some people, faced with challenging circumstances, choose to stray from their moral values and become monsters in search of power, respect, or simply survival. Thus, sociological theories offer a vital context for understanding broader movements in society and individual choices within this landscape. Throughout history, many individuals who were considered good and altruistic ended up turning into troubled and cruel figures. One of the most striking examples is that of the German doctor Joseph Mengele, who, despite being respected in his profession, became known as the Angel of Death during the Second World War. Mengele, who performed medicinal experiments on prisoners at Auschwitz, believed he was contributing to the evolution of humanity, even if his actions resulted in unimaginable pain and suffering. The moral distortion that led Mengele to commit atrocities is a disturbing example of how his social position and background can be corrupted by power and ideology. In addition to this, we have the case of politicians who initially enter their careers with the genuine desire to help society, but when faced with corruption and abuse of power, end up transforming into ruthless figures. These narratives show that the transformation of good people into monsters is not just an anomaly, but a repetitive pattern in the pages of history that teaches us about the fragility of human morality and the ability to deviate from ethical behavior. The changes that lead a good person down a malicious path often do not occur abruptly, but rather through a series of small choices that accumulate over time. This can be illustrated by an everyday example. Imagine a person who, out of a genuine desire to help, begins to lie in small situations to avoid hurting the feelings of others. Over time, this practice of small lies becomes a norm, and in moments of pressure, this person may start to make decisions that involve greater deception and manipulation. This escalation of justifications can lead to much more harmful actions, such as betrayal of a friend or even greater fraud. The concept of banality of evil, discussed by philosopher Hannah Arendt, suggests that ordinary individuals can become complicit in atrocities through the gradual acceptance of immoral behaviors. When the normalization of what is considered acceptable occurs slowly, a person may lose their perception of what is right and wrong, thus leading to a calm acceptance of evil as part of their reality. Another important factor in transforming good people into monsters is external pressure and the social contexts in which they find themselves. Often, individuals who stand out for their kindness find themselves in situations that challenge their fundamental values. When placed in environments where selfishness and competition are the norm, these people may feel compelled to abandon their ethical principles. An example of this can be found in the corporate world, where an altruistic and idealistic professional can find themselves surrounded by colleagues who prioritize results at any cost. This culture can encourage you to ignore unethical behavior or even participate in it so as not to be left behind. By giving in to these pressures, he may begin to justify his harmful actions in the name of success or professional survival. Thus, a path that began with good intentions can quickly spiral into a series of morally questionable choices, resulting in dehumanization and cruel behavior. Recognizing these dynamics and resisting the pressure to adapt is essential to not lose sight of compassion and ethics. Testimonies from people who have undergone drastic transformations reveal the internal dilemmas they face when making decisions that stray from their moral values. Many report that, in moments of weakness or despair, they have been led to behave in ways they never imagined. For example, a former right-hand man of a scammer confessed that he initially got involved in the scheme because he saw it as a solution to his financial difficulties. Over time, he began to rationalize the lies and scams as necessary measures for his survival. When asked what exactly led them down the path of cruelty, many express a profound sense of loss of control over their own lives and feelings of helplessness in the face of their circumstances. Transformation often occurs without the person realizing it, as if life is slowly pushing them towards a moral dead end. These reports remind us of human fragility and the ease with which a person can become dazzled by the power that comes from manipulation, distorting their essence and taking them down dark paths, at the same time as they feel justified in their harmful actions. The impacts of the transformations of good people into monstrous actions reverberate deeply in society. Each change in behavior generates consequences that are not limited to the individual, but also affect the community around them. When a previously supportive individual begins to act selfishly or violently, this change can result in a deteriorated social environment. Distrust, violence, and lack of solidarity become more common, creating a cycle of negativity. Studies indicate that societies where these transformations occur often present high levels of insecurity and social division, affecting interpersonal relationships and quality of life. The victims of these transformations can be both those around the individual in question and the person himself who, by deviating from ethical and moral principles, moves away from his essence. The consequences ripple across society, undermining trust and promoting fear. Therefore, it is crucial to understand these impacts so that we can work to build healthier and more supportive environments, where emotional and social support is the norm, not the exception. In times of crisis, ethics are often put to the test. Extreme situations can make individuals rethink their values. The moral dilemma intensifies when the available choices are limited and each decision can lead to devastating consequences. History shows us that in times of calamity, people may deviate from their traditional values in search of survival or to protect those they love. It is in this context that ethics becomes a fine line between right and wrong. Reflections on ethics in times of crisis must include the analysis of how hopelessness can transform compassion into selfishness. Therefore, it is essential to promote open discussions that encourage people to explore their convictions, and understand the importance of moral principles, even when facing adversity. Encouraging strong ethics and resilience can help individuals resist this temptation to become monsters in times of despair. Ultimately, constant reflection and practicing virtues, even in the worst of times, can be powerful tools to prevent grim retrospects and ensure that humanity prevails over cruelty. The stories of people who turned from good to bad provide valuable lessons that can impact the way we live our lives. One of the most important lessons is that empathy and kindness must be practiced consistently, not only in times of abundance and happiness, but also in times of crisis. By learning about the motivations that lead individuals to engage in harmful behaviors, we can cultivate the ability to understand the difficulties others face. Furthermore, it is vital to reinforce the idea that small actions can have big repercussions. The exercise of empathy, for example, can serve as a barrier against dehumanization that leads to transformation into monsters. We can also learn that openness to dialogue, rather than condemnation, can be a way to understand the factors that lead to a departure from moral values. Finally, these stories show us the importance of emotional and psychological self-care, where seeking help and support in moments of pain can prevent a deterioration of our essence. These valuable lessons challenge us to be more aware of our actions and their impact on ourselves and others. Preventing good people from becoming monsters requires a conscious and proactive effort. First, cultivating an environment of support and understanding is critical. This means creating solidarity networks where individuals feel safe to share their pain and challenges, avoiding the feeling of isolation that can lead to hopelessness. Furthermore, it is crucial to develop emotional intelligence. Recognizing and managing your emotions helps you make decisions. Practicing active empathy can also make a significant difference, encouraging a genuine understanding of others' experiences and reinforcing social bonds. Meditating on everyday choices is an important exercise that should be adopted. This includes the attitude of questioning whether a certain decision is aligned with the values you want to maintain. Finally, seeking personal and spiritual growth through ongoing education and reflection is essential. By becoming more aware and mindful of our behavior and the impact we have on others, we can act as a bulwark against becoming an eyesore. Through positive actions and a commitment to kindness, we can ensure that compassion prevails over cruelty, helping everyone around us stay on the path of good. Many stories throughout human history show that the path to rehabilitation and recovery is possible, even for those who appear to have lost their way. People who have become monsters in their communities, whether due to impulsive decisions, extreme circumstances, or trauma, can find a new perspective and return to being benevolent. A notable example is that of a former criminal who, after serving time, decided to use his negative experiences to help at-risk youth. He went on to share his story in schools and community centers, showing that change is possible, and encouraging others not to follow the same path as him. These rehabilitation stories are not just inspiring. They present a powerful testament that people are capable of transforming themselves when they receive support and understanding. Often, the key to this transformation lies in the ability to look within themselves, recognize their mistakes, and develop a genuine desire for change. Social projects and welcoming initiatives have proven to be effective, offering not only a second chance, but also a space to develop self-care and empathy, essential for rebuilding lost morality. The rehabilitation and reintegration of individuals who have committed serious errors is a crucial aspect in the fight against monstrosity. There are many examples around the world where people involved in criminal activities, by going through rehabilitation processes, manage to change their stories. In this sense, programs that promote self-knowledge and responsibility, such as therapies and social skills workshops, have shown great effectiveness. A notable example is the rehabilitation project for former inmates that has been implemented in several prisons in Brazil, where they receive psychological and educational support so that they can reintegrate into society in a productive way. The success of these programs, which aim not only to punish but also to educate and reintegrate, demonstrates that everyone has the potential to reconcile with their past actions and overcome their shadows. The stories of these individuals are often inspiring and bring hope that even after the violation of morality, we can recover the latent goodness. Thus, acceptance and forgiveness become essential, both in building a more just society and in creating opportunities for personal transformation, reinforcing the idea that there is always a path to redemption. The future of humanity depends on our ability to learn from past mistakes. Positive energy, empathy, and awareness are essential so that we can build a world where monstrosity has no place. When we look at history, we observe cycles of wars, oppression, and violence that repeat themselves, suggesting that we have not learned or that we have ignored previous lessons. Therefore, it is essential to reflect on how decisions made today can influence future generations. Teaching children about the values of peace and respect for diversity is a vital step. Recognition of past mistakes, such as slavery and genocide, is equally important. In doing so, we create an environment ripe for forgiveness and reconciliation. In this way, we are building a future based on values that emphasize kindness, justice, and inclusion. Thus, by paying attention to the flaws of time and recognizing the humanity that lives in each of us, we have the chance to prevent the monstrosity from reproducing itself in other cycles and, on the contrary, foster a better world. Education is a transformative tool that has great potential to prevent monstrosity in society. From childhood, it is crucial to promote values of empathy, solidarity, and respect for diversity. Schools are privileged environments for this construction, where it is possible to work with children and adolescents on the importance of understanding each other's feelings, respecting differences, and resolving conflicts peacefully. Ethics, citizenship, and human rights courses can be incorporated into the curriculum, preparing young people to become aware and responsible adults. Furthermore, ongoing training for educators is vital so that they can inspire and guide their students. Empathy must be more than a theoretical concept. It must be a daily practice, visible in the actions of everyone in the school environment. Through education, it is possible not only to guide young people about the dangers of negative behaviors, but also to cultivate in future generations a culture of kindness, responsibility, and care for the lives of others. Creating an educated and empathetic society is the key to ensuring that monstrosity has no place, as education teaches us to look within and always seek to understand what unites us, rather than what separates us. The moral of the story is that human kindness and morality are fragile and can be shaped by external circumstances, trauma, and social pressures. Recognizing this fragility is fundamental to cultivating empathy, understanding, and solidarity as pillars of our daily actions. Now, we'd like to know, which story would you like to hear next? Are there any particular transformations you think we should explore further? What do you believe can lead a person to cross the line between good and evil? What factors do you consider most influential in this transformation? If you like this video and want to continue following reflections on human nature, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next video.